Okay, our next game for this show is Bangai-O, which was nominated by Pete Barbero1 on Twitter. It was developed by Treasure. It was published by, I think, a different company in each territory. Publisher in North America was Conspiracy Entertainment, those purveyors of quality.
And just sounds like the most 90s possible company name, Conspiracy.
Hey, wait a minute. Who's that speaking right now?
Well, wait. We have a new voice here. To help us out on this one, we have Bobinator, who...
he bothered to play it.
Yeah, it's just really not the same show without Bobinator. And please, on Twitter, at Robert Nader, send him your love, because he deserves it. But it was published by Conspiracy Entertainment in North America. It was published by Swing! Entertainment in Europe. And it was first published for the Nintendo 64 in Japan, but we're going to be ranking the Sega Dreamcast version, which is probably the ideal version.
Just real quick, is anyone aware of what the differences are between the two versions?
The Dreamcast version has a lot more. It has mostly the same levels, but it has like more background graphics. It has a lot more tile sets. There's some pretty substantial differences in the mechanics, which I'm going over the article I wrote like 8 years ago, so... I might be wrong about it, but maybe we should talk about how the game works a little bit more.
Earliest release date for the Dreamcast version was December 9th, 1999 in Japan. I want to point out that this is not long after the Dreamcast launch, but also I want to point out that the N64 version of the game, I believe, in Japan came out like in September of 1999. So there's very little time in between the two, and they were almost certainly working on them concurrently.
Yeah, I've seen people describe it as like an enhanced version of the N64, and it's like, no, it's really, I don't think that's the case. They pretty much shipped this off to the manufacturer within like a month of the N64 one going gold kind of deal, so it's not.
The N64 one shipped, and you're like, all right, let's finish this.
So would this be like comparing Turtles in Time to Hyperstone Heist in a way? Like they're two things that do the same thing but different-ish? I don't know. It's a weird
not
situation.
really. Like Hyperstone Heist is like Turtles in Time with some slightly different levels than on the Genesis, whereas this is basically the same game with better graphics and different mechanics.
I mean, they felt
but
the game was similar enough that they didn't call it anything different. Just to confuse everyone, they were like, Bangai-O, Bangai-O. They're the same game, guys. Just totally believe us. The N64 one had a really limited release, though. Japan only, and like 10,000 copies, which is insanely short. I don't know how much it costs, but I assume it's pricey.
Japan
I bought it a couple years ago. It wasn't that much.
Nobody cares about Japanese N64 games. So
Except Sin Punishment, which was also Treasure.
No, I mean,
But
I
even then,
bought
it's
Sin
not that
Punishment for like $20. Like, it's nothing.
Oh, well, to be
What about the
fair,
Evangelion game? Because I seem to remember that one got pricey.
well, to be fair,
Nothing.
not a lot of people care about N64 games here either. They are definitely the most bargain binnable cartridges ever.
I was doing research for a rare game stuff. The most expensive Nintendo 64 game I could find was based off this manga anime called Getter Love. And the game itself is like a combination of a board game and a dating sim. But that's the only game.
Sign me up.
Yeah, like it's very heavy in Japanese language, so like nobody cares about it here. But it goes for like $100 over there.
Board game dating sim makes me think of like the Monopoly pieces, like smooching each other. Like the little like Scotty dog and the boot are just like going out on dates, like drinking out of the same milkshake.
We
All
didn't
right, I'm gonna
mention
go.
how this game was played, did we? Because basically the premise is that there's this like map of varying size, and it's really simple. You just have to blast your way through stuff and get to the boss at the end, which in more stages than not is usually just an immobile core, so it's really just like destroying a special target, and that usually involves flying your way through a bunch of bullets and then like shooting a lot of missiles. Go ahead, Bob.
You can almost call it like a free-roaming, maybe not free-roaming, more open shmup, really.
It is very shmup-like, but the fact that you're like a mech and you're going in all sorts of different directions, it's not even like a free roamer like Time Pilot either. It's a little hard to qualify because you're allowed to go at your own pace. Except you do have a time limit, so...
I'd like to bring up one thing about the game I do think is kind of cool. There's an unusual way this game handles smart bombs. Like, basically, the more projectiles that are around you when you use a smart bomb, which shoots a bunch of missiles or lasers depending on which of the two characters you're controlling at the time, the more projectiles you'll unleash, up to a maximum, I believe, 400.
Yeah, 400 is correct.
And you get this really cool and actually pull that off, but you gotta be like basically surrounded, about to die.
Oh, the way it works is like the power of your attack based on how close the bullets are to you. So if you're absolutely surrounded by bullets and you press the attack button at the exact right time, you'll just send the maximum amount of missiles. Which
you can do missiles,
really cool
or you can do lasers, because you have two different mechs that you play as simultaneously and toggle between them.
Yeah, and the difference between them is like what? The way they reflect off of walls, I think?
Yeah, missiles home, I think, initially. Or do they not home?
Yeah,
but the lasers bounces at weird angles.
Yeah, the missiles home, lasers bounce, and for some reason you somehow change between a boy and a girl pilot as you do so, which I don't know how the logic on that works exactly, but, I don't know. It's
Japan Becca.
This game is Japanese. Is it even? I don't even know how to qualify its sense of humor. Let's say, but
it's just like it's very surreal Japanese, just like comedy.
I can't even tell if the translation's supposed to be bad or if it's just Treasure's never been great with story. Let's be honest. And
the translation seems very much it's like a machine translation that someone who speaks English looked over and just tweaked a bit. That's what it feels like.
I remember hearing from somebody on a message board that it was like they knew what they were doing. Like it was just so bizarre, the Japanese script, that they had to do something just like really, really strange, like a really off-kilter writing style to sort of encapsulate that.
I kind of appreciate it is unique, and I actually kind of do look forward to the dialogue in this game because it's all so stupid.
Well, because there's a lot of levels. How many levels is there? Does anyone know the exact
44.
Number? All right, 44. There's a lot of levels, and since most of them don't end with boss fights, they end with you shooting the core. The core negotiates with you and just threatens you like arbitrarily.
Yeah. They don't even threaten you. They just like ramble and then you kill it.
My favorite core encounter was like some sort of sheep holding a corncob pipe that narrates an incredibly irrelevant film noir situation that is just...
He has a glass of whiskey in his hand.
Yeah, that's right. Now, this game can genuinely be funny, but like its enemy interactions are complete gravy. It's just like, the focus is just blowing crap up, and this game really mostly just stays on topic with that. Anything else is just window dressing. But
this does feel like they backported something to justify the game, because really it's very mechanical. It's very Treasure. It's like, we're making a shmup. The elements are, it's kind of like a multi-directional shooter, and it's got arenas and like vague puzzle elements, kind of, not really. You collect fruit and you blow up buildings, because why not? That's what heroes do, and that's the whole game.
Let's based on something. What could it be? The game did not emerge whole cloth, right? There was a predecessor, not a predecessor, but like a spiritual predecessor.
Are we talking about Thexter, perhaps? Because that's like the first thing I'm thinking. Maybe that's.
I think I know what you're referring to. If anyone would want to, should I go in on that, or
that's why you're here?
Is that the hover attack game?
Right. Yeah, hover attack. It's it was on a bunch of Japanese computer systems, the X1 and a couple of others I'm afraid I don't recall the name of right now.
It's on the PC-88 and the Sharp MZ2500.
Right, thank you. Apparently it was going to be a remake, but I guess I don't know if it was right this year, they just want to do their own thing or what.
I mean, like, clearly they must have, like, because if you look at the screenshots or watch video, you can like, okay, I can totally see Bangai-O. Like, clearly they just went, let's just go. They just went like crazier and crazier until it's like, okay, it's not a remake anymore. It's a completely different experience.
Yeah, like when I first played the game, it always kind of reminded me of like the Atari 400 games I used to play when I was a kid, in that you were like a small character in a large level. And I mean, nothing ever had that same explosive amount. But then when you go back and see, it was actually kind of was based off of like an early 80s arcade computer game, it kind of all makes sense.
It's interesting because, I mean, one of the chief complaints that people leveled at this game when it came out, it is because it was a Dreamcast version, obviously, so it had to be built kind of for the N64. It doesn't really show off any fancy Dreamcast effects, which, when the Dreamcast launched, you're like, okay, well, why does it look like this? It doesn't have a lot of, I guess, graphical pizzazz. Like, it's like...
I think aside from some particle effects and how many sprites the game can fit, you could probably do this game on the SNES, or at least the Saturn.
Saturn. Yeah.
It's mostly the sprites that the amount of sprites on the screen at the same time. Because again, when you have like 200, 300, 400, like the Super Nintendo would choke if you had like 20 things in the same line at the same time.
Yeah, 400 missiles is the maximum, and it's pretty glorious to see that. Did we mention
they all have like explosions, and they have laser trails, and then there's a number, and the thing I most liked about this game is that when you set up the explosion that high, it just like brings the Dreamcast to its knees. Like it just totally struggling to get that number out, and it's like just seeing the way that these numbers and all the math going behind it is just obliterating it is very gratifying.
Yeah, like when you and it's Metal Slug does a similar thing where it's like when explosions go off and the machine stops working, you're like, yeah, I did it. I blew the machine up. I'm the greatest. So I mean, because we've got it here, does the N64 version even push that many missiles? Because you did mention that you were gonna maybe talk a little bit about the differences.
I don't remember if it pushes that many. The main difference that I can remember is the way that it recharges your special attack. Because in the Dreamcast one, it sort of like you had to charge up your thing, but if you were able to destroy enough things in attack, then you would recharge itself up. So it sort of created a feedback loop of, if you pulled off the attack well, you could do it again. If you were really bad at your timing, then you kind of screwed yourself. But in the Nintendo 64, I think that was powered by getting fruit, which the fruit is still in the Dreamcast game, but I don't think it.
Yeah, it's
just for points. I don't think
it's just for points.
else.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess did we mention that we can only generate really big explosions when like a lot of projectiles are like right about to graze you? It's like you have to really like bungee jump with this game. You gotta come to the brink of death before you make a giant comeback. And I really do like that thrilling aspect, counterattack aspect to the gameplay.
That's what totally makes the game for me.
Yeah, definitely. It is a thrill ride. It gets really hectic, maybe a little too hectic at some points, but that feeling just turning it around in a single 400 projectile burst. That's what gaming's all about to me. Just shit like that. It's just really impressive.
On the other hand, I do feel like if you this game is a little bit tricky to feel like you're playing it right, or when you don't get it right, the game is really like rough. Like you're just like, oh, everything's going wrong, and I'm not doing this at all.
That's typical Treasure, to be honest.
That is my problem, but even more so than most Treasure games, I would say. Like
you can very easily, like you have a long life bar, but I don't think there's much of an invincibility period, so you can just get like juggled real quick and get killed very easily for one minor mistake.
I want to say it has a bit of a curve, but considering there are so many levels, I want to say that it's inconsistent, and then some are just randomly easier than others, and then there's others that's just like, oh my god, how can I beat this? Like, I can't remember the exact level, but like, you first face the guy who is actually the final boss later, but that early on, he is just a pain in the a-hole. I think he's able to just randomly turn invincible also, or something like that. There are some points where the difficulty balance is really watery, and you'll just really die suddenly without knowing it. You will die a lot with this game, and occasionally it does seem random, so it might be one that requires some practice and occasionally a little bit of luck to win, which might not be to everyone's suit.
Well, I guess it's because this one, it doesn't. Your like previous gaming skills are not really super transferable. It really wants you to learn the Bangai-O system. Like with the shmup, you can play a shmup and you're kind of doing okay. Scrollers, yeah, it's fine. This game, it's like if you don't play it with this like slingshot, like you're about to, get everything really dangerous and then turn it around. If you don't play like that, it's not going to be fun. And
right, unless you're a really one of those rare people who's really, really good at like bullet hell shooters and solar jetmen.
It's quite the skill set to have.
Where do we want to put this in the big list?
I feel this game isn't as hard as some Treasure games because it's got a nice structure. Like every level, it's very own separate thing, and you have infinite continues. And even if you don't do it in your first try, you can just come back and just do it whenever, like a bite-sized experience, basically. I appreciate that.
It is nice that you don't have to repeat the whole game in order to beat the later levels.
No,
well, I mean, that was normal at that time. I think what Bob and I are saying is that it's more like the game is really compartmentalized, where it's like, I'm going to give this a shot for like 20 minutes, and if I can't get it, I'll try it again, next weekend. You know, like whenever you get, it doesn't feel like it's punishing you for not, you know.
There's nothing really to keep track of. Once you learn the basic mechanics, everything is the same, basically. This is a tricky one to place. Like, personally, it's not really up in my favorite treasure game. It's a nice, like, it's nice, but I'm not, like, enamored with it or anything.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. It's fun, but I mean, it's no Gunstar Heroes.
Well, nothing is ever going to be Gunstar Heroes, the greatest
Well, it's not
Genesis
even-
game ever, in my opinion. But
It's not even a Guardian Heroes. It's maybe like a Mischief Makers.
I'll say this:
Oh,
I like it better than Ikaruga.
whoa!
Oh no!
Hot
Me
take,
too.
Bob. That might.
You're gonna get us, yeah, like, I mean, I think Ikaruga is, like, it's harder. Like, it goes much harder, much faster, but there's an elegance to Ikaruga that I think is lacking in Bangai-O. I don't think it's Bangai-O.
That's what's great about it. Just blow it up.
No, I know,
Do
like,
it.
it's designed like that. It's kind of like, in order for it to be this, it cannot be this. But, like, Ikaruga is such a fantastic shmup game. And this one's like, well, it does really well at what it does, but I don't know if what it does is something that I want very
how many
often.
shooters are there, and how many Bangai-O games are there?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you could,
yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah,
like
but-
3 Bangai-O games to be fair, so
they keep making them. It's really interesting that Treasure's like, they really want to get this game right because they've made it several times, which is odd
But
for
they
them.
did it best the
They did it the
Honestly.
first time. The second and third time, they just like they didn't know what else to do with it. Just like the difficulty curve, like at least it's linear. Like you have to beat like levels 1 through 44 in order, but like there's no real structure to the GS one. Like you can start on the last level if you want, because it's not really the last level. It's just kind of a game
Right.
that you sit down and screw around with.
but not ranking the DS version or ranking
Yeah.
the best version, which is the Dreamcast version. And I'm saying, like, there's lots of shooters. There's even a lot of bullet hell shooters, and there's even a lot of cave shooters. Only so many Bangai-O games, and I think that's important.
Lower than Sin and Punishment, higher than Marvel Land.
I'm all right. I can work with that.
I totally trust Kurt with this. He's quite authoritative on all.
Don't just hand over the keys to him.
Argue with me.
All right. Well, I do really
Yeah,
like.
sure, just put it wherever you want because you have an opinion. That's not what we do here.
All right, fine, but hey, all right. Look, are you forcing me to argue, or are you going to put your money where your mouth?
No, I
is?
mean, like, I don't disagree with the general area. Like, you know, there's a lot of like good games in that area. Like this, I think that's the area where Bangai-O belongs. Because I don't care if Xerxes thinks it's unique. He thinks a lot of things are unique, and we keep putting them higher than they probably should be. But
No.
but it is kind of like, if you like Bangai-O, like, because it's a weird little game, and someone's gonna be like, "This is literally the best game ever," but for everyone else, it's gonna be like, "It's just pretty good." I
Yeah,
can't
but
really
what
do
if you're one of those people who's like, this is the best
you're
game
one of those
ever, and you
people-
wouldn't have played you wouldn't have played it unless we recommended it.
They should listen to every episode anyway. It doesn't even matter where we put the.
Well, but if you really like this, there's nowhere else to go.
Let's
There's
look at.
nowhere else to go.
I'm gonna put a game here. We're gonna look at Devil's Crush, and we're just gonna say Bangai-O. Is it more or less interesting than Devil's Crush? Because I think it's a good kind of.
I was actually
would-
going to. Oh, go ahead.
I would put it above Devil's Crush, yeah.
Oh, I was going to place it slightly lower than that, actually. Crap.
We were getting closer.
Okay, I was thinking between Snatcher and Master of Magic. I mean, Bangai-O is really fun, but also kind of sloppy, and it's
You know
really
what?
there's not a lot else like it.
A lot
think
of
I've
other
seen
treasure
it
games
before.
are sloppy. Like Ikaruga being as like well designed as it is kind of a rarity for treasure games.
It's
Like,
as
even
well designed
Gunstar
as it is 'cause
Heroes.
It's about as long as like your average lunch. You know, that's the thing. It's like
They
anything
fine-tuned
could
that game.
really like polished if it's only 20 minutes long.
Yeah,
Seriously, like,
they were selling like a 20 minutes long game at full price. It had to be really solid.
really good.
You know, if I had to pick between like Devil's Crush and Bangai-O, I would probably prefer Devil's Crush just a little bit. Mostly because I don't remember the music in Bangai-O. I don't remember a single sound or melody or thing in it. So at least Devil's Crush has a theme.
Devil's Crush is just video pinball. There's so many video pinball games.
That's my reasoning. Yeah.
When you rip out like a little bit of Bangai-O, it's an arena shooter. I know that's not super fair to it, but okay. Well, Kurt, you can step in here, and if you like it, do you like Devil's Crush less?
Yeah, I think I like Bangai-O more. I mean, I'm with you on the music because I think Devil's Crush the music is like 50% of why that game is as awesome as it is.
It's a huge deal. It's a very But okay, so that settles that.
Yeah, like above Devil's Crush.
Above Devil's Crush, below Street Fighter 3.
Okay, that's good.
All right,
I can go.
Sweet.
That's fine to me.
Okay.
Sold.